Mm. Brought wings? Oh, Yeah, that's good. I was taking instruction. Something like, so yeah, you can do it very well. It's a bit of a- because she did it like she did it in zero. Yeah. So anyway, by the time I was at the so it so long as it's like I was just asking, oh, oh, she was like, just say, oh, yeah, that's like this. So this is like the better because of the I just asked. So it's like it's their road. For yeah, for I don't know, sometimes I'm gonna learn it. But I like just look at it because I don't want to be like too much smaller, like you know. But then I'm like, I don't know. And then it takes a while. Yeah. It's so sounds bust. Like it's not what it's for, like you know, for like and so just yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's there, right? Like I was just like I was like, oh, yeah. Like, she did. It's just like I was like creative. Like, oh, she did funny. I don't think it's weird. And it's funny because sugar, as medicine. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, what is it? It's just sugar. And I was like, do you know what the rates also count? Because no one else gave the answer, so I was like, I don't know what this was thinking. And then like she was like, I think she just said this Spanish. Like sometimes like if you and then I was just like, well, so the truth is Spanish and it's Spanish. And all of her native language. I think something is good. That's like, I like, no, obviously, training automatically. Yeah, they automatically take like level two. Oh my god. So I don't think so. I was in level two. I barely that time because I was like, I cannot. Yeah. There's. Why? I was asking you guys because the fire alarm is on. What? The fire alarm's on. And the other building I go in, it's so loud. Which one? The student union? The other one, like the main where it has ID and stuff. That's the student union. It was red. I was ready with them too. I'm like, I don't know if I was out. I was like, allowed to be here. Wow, I love this. I said, maybe you can put on that one. No, she told me. It was weird, like by associated. Perfect. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. The role. Yeah, it was the front. Yeah, you brought it to was it wrong way? Oh, I think he left it instead. It was good.
Oh, that looks good. Oh my God. How's everybody? Good. Screen, see if I can get it going again. Oh, what smells good, that's that means. I don't know why. In case.
The rice crackers.
Oh, I love rice crackers. Yeah. It's Mandy.
Yeah.
Hi. So how's everybody? Good. Okay. Jump down. All right. That will get me. I have a problem on there. I do that. Because I will not. I don't know, it's like my phone. I'm just gonna watch it. And then on Wednesday, you told me. Stop it. Yeah, that was. I'll just read those. One thing. But it's all right. It's basically gonna do some reminders, I'm gonna give you some resources.
Were you able to register for classes for the fall?
I registered a long time ago. Yeah. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, we did it at the same time.
Oh, that time we went, in that, I went.
Hi. How are you? I'm good, how are you?
Hey, did you ever go to my student teacher? I did too. I have to do it or I'll forget.
Yeah. So we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I need to do it for classes.
You guys, we're gonna get each other get competitive problem again.
Yeah, I just use reuse. Oh, let's see. I'm not about to do extra work. But I don't use it for that. That's true.
No, for the 327 B.
Yeah.
I think all, wait just a couple moments, almost everyone's here, we can start eating. I'll spend all night trying to figure this out.
Julie's probably stuck in traffic.
What's that?
The traffic was pretty bad.
Oh, was it bad? What, construction?
There's just construction everywhere.
I know. I know. That's what happens when the weather gets nicer.
I hit today. I was like, oh. I did not see that. I was like,
So I was like, what's the one?
The student union.
so I was like walking, I was like standing there for a minute. I was like, what do I do?
Yeah, I know.
Were people evacuating?
Yeah, they're all signed.
Yeah, they're just sitting out there, but they were like, not their line.
That's funny, they do a fire drill.
Well, they said, I was just overthinking, but
Yeah.
they said that they don't know what to do.
Right, exactly. Of course, that's why you gotta go outside.
Oh.
That's weird.
Not so sorry. Why is it so dark in here? Are you sure?
All right, well,
Oh, you don't just like.
I'm not gonna be happy if I can't get this to work twice. That is open. Right, that's why when you're a teacher, you need right away, you need plan A, a plan B, and sometimes a plan C. I think it's our last class. And why don't we open everything up and eat?
What are we using? Yeah, this thing. It just feels so small with, like, if we're missing one person. It feels so small.
With 3 more, no?
Oh, Diana.
Oh, she's gonna be a little late. Yeah, she's gonna be a little late.
I forgot a bowl for the salad, so I think I'm gonna mix it in.
Okay, okay.
We have a good variety of sweet and non.
The big place, there's little place. Thank you for asking to come out there. That was very kind of you.
Caesar salad and then a sweet potato.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, what are those?
Those are the tomatoes.
Oh, that's the
Oh, what's those?
I should have had lunch today. No, I didn't have lunch today. You know, honestly, I was talking to Olivia today from the other class. And everybody talked about it here. I did my open, but I mean, you know, last week, this is so awesome. Yeah.
And I had the one that went to the other building, because in the.
Oh, yeah, you know what?
The different, but you found another email, right?
Mine, okay. You know why? Because I made it, I made a copy, you know, and I sent them an announcement, I made a copy of the potluck dinner from the other class, I'm so sorry.
It's okay, I'm like, because I know you wanted to, combine the classes from like maybe today.
Oh, you thought maybe.
Yeah, so I went over there and then
I know, I drove over there.
It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't even read, I think Mandy told me that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that I didn't.
Oh, that's true. Might have brought like to go up. Yeah.
There's big plates, there's little plates, there's napkins. I mean, I thought I brought spoons and forks, but I got spoons and forks. No,
wait, I don't have cups. Did anyone bring cups? I knew. Okay.
Oh,
Forgot.
oh, you know.
What? It's gonna be a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about bringing some and then I thought, yeah. Well, you know, I think you have water bottle. All right.
Okay, well, that's how I think.
Do one at a time. I'll have some salad too, but do one at a time.
Just gonna sit down for a second. Like, there's so much happening.
Yeah, it's like
That's usually good. Perhaps. But yeah. Gonna need a bunch of clothes. That's what I'm saying. I didn't eat either.
How's everybody feeling? Now you're all in your mouth.
Oh,
Happy, you're almost done. Well, this is your only Monday class, right? So this is the other one. Are you doing? And you have an exciting.
That,
Does anybody have kind of big plans for the summer?
The German dance crew is going to Europe.
You need to tell us about that.
So I'm German. I'm part of the German dance group and have been my whole life for like a club. And so this year it's our turn to go to Europe, to
Wow.
in Austria, to
That-
yeah, and it's not really a vacation. It's like a camp. Every day we'll be doing something, learning new dances.
Sounds like a vacation to me.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. I told you what the people I have to go with, but that's a different story. Like, I mean, my parents are going, it's nice, like they were able to.
Wow.
The chaperone.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, so for 2 weeks
Hi.
straight, we'll be dancing,
Awesome.
performing.
When?
And,
Dig in.
mid-June. Mid-June.
You'll be gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll get back like 2 days before the 4th of July, maybe.
That's big.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Have you ever been there before?
Yeah, I have family there, so we try to go and visit.
Will you get to see your family that's there?
No. That's not, you don't really have too much. Really.
That is fabulous.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Anyone else have anything fun and exciting? I don't yet. I'm working on it.
Wait, I'm here.
Why? Because it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, at first it was supposed to be just a small party, but then next thing you know, we were renting. And then we're finding dresses, and next thing you know, I'm paying like $300 for a new dress, and I'm like, I don't know how to go to this point, but yeah. So
It'll be fun though.
I don't know.
So what I would like everybody to do today, eat a little bit first. I created, of course, I'm having problems. I tried it with my computer, I tried it with the desktop here. I'll just give up, but I'll show you. But I put a link in for a Google form, just it's a way for you to reflect on your clinical experience. Reflect on being a student in this class, give me some feedback. And, think about what goals you want to set for yourselves moving forward. So that's a Google form. And then I will ask, I think a few people did it already, to do the evaluation. It's important. It helps me, I need feedback too. And, it does seem like every time I teach this course, we run out of time. We run out of time, but, I think it's so important to all have done such a lovely job when we're together reflecting and sharing it. And thank you for sharing the work experience, which fits right into these conversations. So beautiful. Remember my power. I put some resources in, just resources. Have you ever heard of SMART goals? Anyone know SMART goals? Yes, some people do. So they're SMART goals are, and I just put them in just for people to have a resource. SMART goals, SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time-based. And what that just, what it simply means is when you have a goal, you're very specific. So, it could be, non-school related somebody might say, I want to lose weight, or I want to exercise. That's very general. So, it more specifically would be, I want to lose 3 pounds by this date, and here's how I'm going to do it. And if I do it, I'll feel healthier and better. Another example related to this work, classroom management. You might say a goal is, I want to have more effective classroom management skills. That's very broad. So instead, you might say, I want to, when it's transition time, give children a 5-minute warning and sing a song and let them know what we're doing next. So you want to be very specific. And if I do that, what's the relevance? If I do that, the classroom will run smoothly, the children will help clean up or whatever it might be. So that's just kind of and you work, I think, Julia, did I see your head nodding? Justin, you do them at CPS?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I don't want to catch anybody with their mouth full, but so whoever has done them, I see both of you doing. Any feedback you can share about that?
Well, when we do it, we tend to do it with our special needs students. And we do it like a point system.
Right.
So they actually understand like, okay, I'm gonna get a reward if I actually get this done.
Right.
with this amount.
Very specific, right?
Used it for myself.
For yourself, like personally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do it in a lot of like, at least here, when I had to do some like PE classes, they do it there, yeah.
And a lot of jobs the jobs that I've had, and people in my family, a lot of places are using smart. So another resource, I love this one too, more than smart. That I put in the PowerPoint is called ECED, Plan, Do, Study, Act. I learned about this in my last job when we were training and coaching principals and teachers throughout the United States. It was something new for them. It actually comes from Medicare and Medicaid services. I'll tell you what it is, and we adapted it for our work for education. So what I like about Plan, Do, Study, Act, the way we used to train about it, we would explain to people, it's a very easy lift. It's something you can do tomorrow. And you can implement it. So it's basically, if you might have, let's go back to classroom management. You might have a big goal of classroom management. But if you do a PDSA, Plan, Do, Study, Act, the plan would be, when we transition at 10:30 in the morning tomorrow. Same thing, we're gonna do a 5-minute warning and we're gonna sing a song and I'll tell the children what to clean up where. So that's your plan. So you're and again, it's something you could do tomorrow. You can use it personally. Tomorrow, that's the plan. The cue is you do it. The study is, all right, so here you are tomorrow, transition time, you sing a song, you give a 5-minute warning, you give all these directions. The study is you ask yourself how to go. The act is testing my memory today a lot. Either you, there's 3 A's. You adopt it, you adapt it, or you abandon it. So if you say, hey, that worked really well, I'm going to try it at our other transition time during the day. That means you're adopting. If you say, hey, it worked okay, I know some kids still didn't know what they were supposed to do or something like that. Then you're going to adapt it and try it again in a different way. Abandoning it means that did not work at all. That did not, I got to try something completely different. So what I like about it is you can take that big overall goal and break it down into something. And what's motivating, just thinking about like when children accomplish things. If you make a plan, the small step you can do tomorrow or next week. Like whenever I work with teachers, I'd be like, do it tomorrow, but do it next week, don't wait. The motivation is you do it and it works, or it kind of works, you're motivated to do more because you see success. It's just like, think about children when they can do something, when they figure out how to put the puzzle together or cut with the scissors. It's very motivating to continue doing it. So I put those in, the PowerPoint for your, just for you. Any thoughts, comments about that? I love the PDF. Do I use the PDSA? No. Yeah. I mean, now that I'm telling you, I mean, have I used it? Yes, I have. You know, and, like I said, what I like about it is with the way we trained about it, we would say something very small. The problem, I think, for many of us professionally and personally, we have a goal that we're so overwhelmed with, we don't do anything. And or maybe we get stressed out, or, we don't, I can't do it, I have too late. So with the PDSA, it's one little thing. It's like your homework, you're into the semester. You have all this work to do. But if you say, tomorrow, I'm gonna get this one thing done, you do. I use a lot of checklists for my, a lot of post-its, I love post-its. It feels good to check something off your list. So those are in there. I also put in, before I forget too. So next Monday is our official list. What we'll do between now and then, and it can be that day, I want to have individual meetings with everybody, quick Google Meets, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And don't forget, I've only done a couple. I have some of yours planned already. I've only done a couple of meetings with the CPs, but if we don't have one planned, we should still try to. If we don't get it, it's not the end of the world. But it's just nice to have that final wrap-up meeting, and I always ask the CTs to give you some advice for goals for your next steps. So what we'll do together when I meet with you, we can do it this week. I think I made a calendar for next Monday with some, I put a link in there too where people can just sign up on my calendar. It doesn't have to be next Monday. It could be another, it could be another day, it could be another time. So just let me know if you want to do another day at a time. We'll make sure your clinical hours are approved. We will make sure, fingers crossed, your CT does your pre-CPAS evaluation. Typically what I do, I have the CTs fill it out and then I fill it out. Doesn't mean I can't do it before, but that's typically how I do it. So, and if I have to send, I probably do another email to the CTs to remind them, I'll do that. And then remember, all of you have to do that educator disposition. And when you look at Watermark, I think there's like a midterm one and a final one. You did the final. We didn't do, the midterm one is out.
I did both.
Oh, that's fine. It's not bad if you did both, but you didn't have to do the midterm one. And then, whatever final assignments. And I think when we were together last time, I said, Sunday, and I think I changed it to Friday, but honestly, Sunday. But our deadline, because I have to get grades. Disposition assessment, Watermark, assignments, reflective journal stuff. Oh, and after you read the, I still don't know, Justine, you're not my first student in, your situation.
Yeah.
But my recall is, I don't remember, because there's some things that can't do them. Not sure what's out. I don't remember what I've done in the past. Once, sorry, we just split it. Once they're absolutely. Once you read your CT's pre-CPAS evaluation and you read mine, there's a student acknowledgement. You click on that and there's just a box that you say you've read. And then I know you submit. No, I know I submit. You might have to hit submit. Yeah, no, I haven't. Nobody should be done yet. So I'll get those all done early next week. And then also, I think I started to say this or did say this already. If you haven't done the, instructor or course evaluation, whatever the heck they call it, I would love if you could do it. for free. No, it shouldn't take too long, but I really would appreciate your feedback. So I did a couple things a little bit differently this semester. You had a couple of choices for assignments, like that health, safety, and nutrition one. Any thoughts, any feedback? I was thinking of, trying to do that, giving more choices. What do you think? Is it overwhelming? Somebody, no.
Yeah.
Well, it's a clinical experience. It's a clinical experience, so that the hours are such a big part. So this is interesting, and I think it's official. Spring of 26. Students will have to go back into classrooms for the infant toddler. So students will be doing 100 hours. So, so I'll have to revamp the class. So from what I understand, so I don't know that it's even official yet. Actually, any feedback you all have, from what I understand, students will be either in an infant room or a toddler for 40 hours, and then go to preschool for 60 hours. So it's my thinking is, I'm just gonna think out loud, guys, give me some feedback. Cause I would think, I still only do 2 observations. So I will do the, so I think it just makes sense to do, so you're doing not 50, but 50 hours in preschool, but it's in less weeks. So you're doing 100 hours. Not you. So it'll be twice a week probably. So my thinking is that students would do 2 preschool lesson plans like you do now. And then for the infant or toddler one, I was thinking, so I think it's on the former, before I started working here, syllabus template, I was thinking, instead of writing an infant or toddler lesson plan, maybe you would take what the teacher has, like analyze. And then I was thinking, because you're only gonna do 40 hours, I was thinking each week, there would be some kind of reflection. Some would observe it. So I don't know, what do people think? Do you think you should do, do you think you should do an infant or toddler lesson plan for me to observe? Not you.
Yeah.
See, I don't even.
Just be able to.
I mean, they could still do it in class.
Right.
They can still do it in class. But, if you're doing, I do try to take this course, and I appreciate what people said, I do try to take this course and be mindful that you're spending time with these clinicals. So you're not, the assignments are not the main part of this class. Even the others. But the assignments are definitely. It's just, but how was it for all of you? Was it weird looking at videos, or what did you think of that? Some a good experience. What did you think of that? Yep. Used to that, I think. Right. Right. Well, yeah, I agree. It was convenient, but I'm thinking, and again, I'm just thinking out loud. It was convenient, but it also gave you more assignments because you have to earn those homes. So, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, true, because, many of you are working, and for 327B, it's, it's more than that. And you all know it, right? It's kindergarten first. Oh, I think I'm teaching one of this. Oh, I am. Oh, yeah. Actually, you were the one who told me that. And I believe that to be true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But like in clinical, she's teaching it and her college.
Deb Fairmark and I are both, I believe.
I don't think I got your.
What's that?
I said, I don't think I got your phone.
Oh, wait, no, we haven't been
No,
decided.
you-
Okay, okay,
you're-
I'm
you're-
thinking
I'm
about
thinking
about something
You're
else.
not. So if I, now let me say, I have not officially. But I believe it to be true. Deb and I will be teaching it, Wednesdays at 4:15. So, which is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe, however the classes are split, maybe we'll even do some things together. We didn't before, why not? Won't be a big group. And Deb does, the beauty of having Deb, she's well fun, she's very smart. She knows a lot about Skyline curriculum, which CPS students. I do not, I am limited, she is taught. And for some of you, if you have her in 327B, some of you, is it just they have less students, and student teacher will also have her for student teaching. So you'll have that continuity, which is nice. I mean, the other teachers, the other instructors, student teachers are great too, but it's, when you know. So, yes, I do, but yeah, I forgot, after you told me that, and then I found out how many students are at A next, or in fall, I thought, oh, yeah, I guess I am teaching.
The hours. Or.
No, it's still 4:15.
So, I mean, are we getting 50 hours on Saturday?
For 327B, no, you're doing 100 hours
On Saturday?
on site.
Mhm.
Right, so think about if you have a job. So, yeah, you're doing 100 hours, so when I have taught 327B, my students' typical schedule is like 2.5 days. So, here's what I'm wondering. This is the fall. Now, I know in preschool this happens, I don't know if it happens so much in kindergarten, first or second grade. I know in the past, which I understand, in the fall for this class, some of the preschool teachers didn't want students to start right away because they kind of wanted to get the kids settled in, which makes sense. So for A, typically, when I've taught A, now this is my 5th year, students have started their clinical from A, usually week 3, 4. Some start to week 2, 3, 4, maybe even week 5, how that ends up. Because you will have to do 100 hours, but it is the fall. So hopefully, I don't know when CPS starts.
A week before us.
A week before, thank you.
Yeah.
Good. So that's actually good. So for B, I would say, I would just as a guess, you would start week 2 or 3. If you did, let's say, 15 weeks. So, okay, doing some bad math, right? But if you start with 2 or 3, you're doing about 8 hours a week till the very end. You won't be able to finish it early, as you've done for some of you. But 8 hours a week, you'll go till the end of the semester. Maybe let's say 10 hours. 10 hours a week, that's 10 weeks. That's easy math. So I would say like 8 hours. Don't forget in the fall. What do you have? So there might not be many holidays. Well, there's Thanksgiving week.
They get a week off for Thanksgiving.
Right.
and it's off in December.
Right, well, by December, they'll be done. But Thanksgiving week is a whole week closed. And then if there's any teacher institute days or report card days, there might not be holidays. Veterans Day, I can't remember.
No, it's.
You don't do that anymore. Yeah, there might not be holidays in the fall. So yeah, it's 100 hours. So yeah, so I would, I wonder if it'll feel tricky getting started. Once you get your assignment, which will be, I don't know when, sometime in July, I would, reach out to your CT right away. Because they're going to be busy. They're going to be getting ready for the school year. And I think I've said this before, I'll say it again. I have had students in B that 2nd grade. They were preschool. They got 2nd grade. They came to class probably the first time and cried because they did not want 2nd grade. Hold on. They loved it. I have never had a student who didn't love it. They loved it. really did. So I, so that's, because they were preschool people, they had only worked with preschoolers. So, yeah, I would plan on 2 days a week. I mean, could you do one full day? Well, even that, you do, what's a full day? 6 hours, really? Yeah, so it's 2 full days. I mean, 2.
For that one, you don't count the lunch, right?
No, so
If you do the full day.
correct. So you should, if you do a whole day, you'll have to do more than a whole day. You'll have to, there's no way you can get the hours in one day. You know what I mean? Even if you do a whole day, see with the lunch break, whatever else, it's might not work. Might not. If, you might, if you take a lunch break, and then here's the other thing too. I haven't talked to Deb about, but if the kids have, and maybe you can speak to this, Josie. If the kids have specials while you're there, like they go to gym, music,
Do
whatever,
you count that? Do you count that?
maybe not,
Oh, okay.
maybe.
So,
Well, if I was your instructor, I would
Mhm.
say yes, if you go. Okay, now I believe if you look at the, we're all really testing my memory right now. I believe if you look at the student handbook, 75% of your time has to be directly with the children.
Mm.
So if the kids are at gym and you're in a meeting with the teacher, which in 327B, you should take some initiative to try to join some meetings, even as an observer. I know in A, most of you did not, you just didn't have that opportunity. If the kids are in gym and you're in a meeting with the teacher, and if you're helping the teacher with something, grading something, getting something ready, you can count that. But I think it's 75, might be 80%, 75, 25 or 80. But honestly, now that, Mandy asked that question, I don't know that it would even be worth you being there all day. Still have to go there. Unless depending on your work schedule, where it just makes sense. I mean, if you did one whole day, you should take a lunch break, half an hour. You'd still have to go there. Probably 3 hours, I would think, but you just, yeah.
for my excessive class, that I'm taking it, but it's because it's the summer, so it's a lot shorter, so I have to
Right.
go like at least 3 times a week.
Right,
Because we're gonna only have like 30, yeah, so it's just really short.
right.
But I try to make sure to do one whole day, which will be 6 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
then-
about right.
And then, I do half a day, 3 hours to 4 hours. to try
Makes
to
sense.
Maintain that.
That makes sense. So I wouldn't do, again, the easy math, I wouldn't do 10 hours a week, could you be done in 10 weeks? Unless for some reason your CP wants you to start a little bit late. I may, I'm not making it sound like one to the way of the other. Actually, I think Deb is like this too. But, I told all of you, you could have ended this one mid-April until this week. Some instructors might be a little more rigid with that, where they want to, you don't want to be done Tuesday. Okay, you don't want to front load. But like I said, I get in touch with your CT right away to introduce yourself because they're gonna be so busy. I'm glad, what Mandy, you said they started a week before.
Yeah.
That's good. They probably don't want you there right.
Not my phone. They actually approve it right at the beginning of the school year.
Oh,
Okay,
Because, we have like, all faculty and staff day, a week before the students arrive.
right,
And then have everybody meet each other, and they're like, oh, this person's gonna be a student teacher, this person's gonna be doing clinical.
oh, that's nice. Now, if you go to something like that, that counts. That counts.
Oh.
If you go to PD, if the school's closed one day, and if they're having professional development and you go, that counts. Okay. So, yeah. What's the name of your school?
Orange Park Elementary.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, the first 2 weeks, they just, okay, this is how you're supposed to act in the hallway, this is how you're supposed to act
Right.
in the classroom. So, right now I'm in 5th grade, but for students in general.
Yeah, you don't have to think, yeah, just, yeah, I mean, you now, listen, you're gonna be done soon, you should take a break now. But, you know, it's good to be. I know.
I'm taking the summer TESOL course right now for the clinical. And I'm so glad I took this first. And like,
Yeah.
I got some experience with
Yeah.
preschool.
Definitely.
And now going into this, like I remember maybe so fast. I was so surprised. I was like, oh my God, it's the second day and I know your guys' names. And
That's awesome.
but it's just like it's pretty fast paced. Like I'm in your class. So yeah. Yeah, so we're in some of the rooms that we're going like day after day because we have to complete. Yeah, because
Right.
I only have like 26 days left, so it's like hours that I need to complete.
That's why I think this is a good introduction.
Yes. I just think that's observations and then it's fun.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I have a message
it's
for
really good.
They were emailing me back. I'm like, I'm ready to be a third. You tell, like, when can I get a third? I'm prepared.
There's a lot of sweets and stuff up there, everyone, if you want to
I
go.
really want another.
Those were delicious.
I'm gonna take like a 2 whole.
I can be it. Although I have to say, Mandy, I like
Yes.
these, right? So we're just talking about the falls. 100 hours. We're gonna get to the hours left. Going to the campground. And share. Wow, we are really going for those.
That's gonna be super fun. Mind you, I've only been to the clinical for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we got you something, teacher. And I was like,
Are
oh,
you
really?
kidding? That's awesome. That's so nice. That is so nice. Yeah, everybody go and get some sweets.
The Parent Advisory Council, they got a Starbucks.
Wait, this week is teacher appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I don't work in a center anymore. We used to do, which is a different week. We used to do week of the young child. In April. That was amazing. They still do that? You do that with you? Yeah. We'll take your child to work day. Right, well, it's, we didn't have them really take their children, but like they would make something and take their children.
Broken after school, thing with the families.
Yeah, we did a lot, yeah, like I know Center, they would have like a breakfast in the morning for families and something for the teachers. And I read, oh, you know what, I should know this was teacher, because I think I got some emails this week from the store saying teacher appreciation. So first week in May. So after, I wanted to let everybody eat a little bit more, but if you can pull out that, let me just pull my laptop here. Everybody can do that. Google form. I like there.
Oh, they said it was a false alarm. There was no fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No fire.
Here at my center years ago. Very much for that. It was April Fool's Day. And I, for whatever reason, I wasn't up to me. I opened the center up well. Just to get there early, you know, but two of my teachers were opening it up. Oh, I know. I thought it was a fire alarm. They both called me from their phones and told me they were both burning. And I had to get there. And I was picking up, what the hell, let me get dressed. And then I think they got there and I actually think, this is what happened. A Fire falls in the, pull station. Yes, yes, of the fire alarm. And the fire alarm. Yeah. How big was the fire? I don't know. Yeah, it was like a regular, I don't know, it's like a regular spider, but it like crawled in the pull stand in the fire alarm. But I read they were.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Then when we moved to a new building, we moved to a new building. And there was something, so the fire alarm was connected to the phone system. And something would happen, you know, we had all the alarms on, of course, overnight, something would happen. If it rained outside, the lines got wet, our fire alarm would go off at 2 or 3 in the morning. And the fire department, now they have to go. The fire, like even here, false alarm, they have to go. So they would go and they would be really mad because it happened. And they'd call me and they would make me come. Because, you know, say like, you know, they didn't want that. I remember one night I went there, that's driving, because it was early morning. And driving home, leaving messages to my boss. This fixed right now. I'm tired of knowing it. All right, so what I'd like you to do, you can do it while you're eating or after, and you know, there's lots of sweets. So please take, if you go, and I'm sorry, I'm doing it like this. But if you go to the agenda, to the PowerPoint in module 14 on this slide, it says reflecting and sharing feedback. There is a Google form. It's a reflection form. This is not the course evaluation. So be aware of that. But if you would take a few minutes to fill it, kind of reflect and fill that out, and then we can talk. And I have a couple of other resources in here, and then I'd like people to do that course evaluation. If I'm going to, this is good. Sour Patch Kids, that's pretty cool. Thank you. My time. Yeah. Be healthy and stay with that. So. No, never she's having. And then I put right. With all WC.
Just sour. Oh, okay. Yeah, I love sour gummies too.
While you're doing, if anyone, if there's any other questions about 327B. It tastes so good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I already have my clinical hours days. But I have to wait for.
That's right, you told me that last time.
But I haven't anything, and she says to reach out to the doctor. Lopez,
Yeah.
and see if I can.
Hmm.
Although that does, I mean, I've seen that with other.
Oh, God.
Oh, please.
So late.
So late.
We all got it.
I hate how they make these emergency like voices sound so scary. Like, it doesn't have to be chipper and everything, but if you're gonna tell me I'm gonna die, at least say it so I'm not scared, okay?
Oh, I don't know it. Voice scared me automatically, like, what is that? Like,
It's not clear, yeah.
that's how.
I'm like tone deaf, like you're right now.
Hmm.
Okay, that just makes me feel a lot hungry. Has where the pencils. And I'm supposed to get the, if I'm gonna have like something that, so, yeah, we have to get them by, so like.
My teacher was telling me that with her, she has to complete 70 hours before she goes in a fit.
Oh, okay, insane.
So you have to do like most of it and then she goes at the end.
It's long, yeah.
Anybody, anything, anyone, I know people are still, writing, typing, so feel free, I'm sorry for that, I don't want to distract you. Any, ahas or anything anyone wants to share? As they do a little reflecting right now?
I think this kind of prepared me a lot for just the future wise. But I think, again, each clinical is supposed to help you achieve better.
Right,
But
right,
I
it's a
feel like
stepping stone.
I really like that this was my first clinical because it allowed me to have room for error, especially with my CT. Like, I felt very like, okay, it's okay to make a mistake and replan. And now that I know, again, this is the first time I'm ever being with kids in a classroom, now I know some strategies that I can use that I can use in my future clinic. Well,
You also, and I hope it continues, you had a CT that really spent the time to explain things to you, to teach you, to model, and to give you opportunities. You did a good job.
that's why I was like, I'm really grateful that I did this clinic first.
Yes.
and able to learn a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else, anything, that met your hopes and dreams, or you wish was different? No, I'm just looking around, I think you all have pretty decent. We had one student, she ended up, she really made it a great experience, one student, the other side. You may know this. Her teacher had a student teacher in a class of 2. School. Observing the student or the teacher for a while. This teacher wasn't. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, was it? Yeah.
Because, I was like, the, like, not. Like,
Sure.
so,
Makes sense.
yeah, so it was like, I don't know, unless I was trying to get home. I don't think that it was like a bunch of kind of got like a bird, like, watching.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I would say it wasn't as engaging.
Yeah. yeah, yeah, that's hard. You know, and it's, I mean, if I were a cooperating teacher in the classroom, I would probably have this conflict, you know, on one hand, and I had one student, and I've only done this once, a couple of years ago, I think it was a preschool clinical, where she was doing a large group time. I thought she did a pretty good job. And when she was sitting like where Julia is, and all the kids were facing her, the CT was back at me. The CT kept interrupting. Oh, you know, she kept forgot this. And I felt bad because every time the CT said something, the kids would all turn around and, you know, it was just, and it was flustering the student. And I finally said to the CT, because this is my belief system to a point. I said, please let her do it, even if she makes a mistake. And then she can learn. You're interrupting. I felt like she was interrupting. Now, I mean, on the flip side, for as a cooperating teacher, this is a lesson for the kids. There are objectives, there are goals for them to learn something. And the teacher does not want the kids to miss that up. I don't know if any of you have experienced, but yeah. Oh, yeah, she did a couple times, but not bad. But she did, yeah, not yet. Let's see, yeah. Right, right. But, you know, and I know you were, but even to you, Julia did a beautiful lesson, activity And I think when the kids were getting rhythms, something with the rhythm, the teacher kind of jumped in and was said, telling them to listen to you, just a little, and I thought, I should do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She likes being involved, yeah. So, she likes, like,
I get it. So, and I remember, even at my own center, I had a teacher, a grade teacher, she had a student in. She didn't want me to come in and see the student doing something bad. You know, she felt bad for, not that he was gonna do something bad, but like taking over and doing it because she didn't want it to look bad. And I was like, it's okay. If it doesn't work, let them reflect and let them learn and, that's okay. We all, I hope, in your clinicals, just like I want you to do with children, build these relationships with your teachers so you feel safe. You can take initiative, your confidence is gonna continue growing. And make a mistake, so what? It's like, nobody died, right? Nobody can make a mistake. And if you missed your goal in a lesson, I'm sure they'll get it. Honestly. But I also think, flip side, Justine, jump in, anyone else jump in, whether you work in a center or in a school, teachers feel a lot of pressure.
yes.
You want to get anything you want to say about that from the CPS standpoint? Not that you represent all of CPS, you do not.
No. At my school alone, like there's always an email from admin, like, oh, it's this month, we don't have this year, we give the teachers like, okay, but we don't have to do slides for this, I'm like, oh, we're gonna put in our grade. Okay. And then they look at me like, should I want to do this? I'm like, no.
There's always things to do, and something might be more important than something else, but if your administration says you gotta do it, you gotta do it. So with that, balancing and prioritizing, don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself some space. And if you are a teacher in a classroom, for those of you who work with children today, you're there with them 5 days a week. If you didn't do something today, or you made a mistake, we're not gonna break these kids. They're not gonna break. They are also resilience, just like you. So, any other thoughts from, your experience or even just your thinking today in that reflection tool? So another thing, I'm not gonna go over it, just because we have all this really good food, so I want people to be able to relax today. I put in, so, when I observed Diana, her teacher was gracious enough, all you CPS people, your teachers have probably been classed in the last month, meaning they were observed by somebody doing class assessment. Diana's teacher shared hers with me today, which was really interesting. So look at, I put in some information in today's resource for you about the class tool. I think I've mentioned it. I'm sorry we have run out of time to go over it, but we talked about this with her teacher. And then I actually had a meeting with a student in the CT today for end of the semester, and this teacher talked about the same thing. Ask those good, open-ended questions. Yes or no questions. You might just, even think about, and this is something we didn't do in here, and I always wanted to, but if you even think about Bloom's taxonomy mistakes, when you're asking yes or no questions, you're really just getting the memo. What color is that? What number? What? And when you ask those open-ended questions, how do you know that? What made you think of that idea? Or what can you do next? Or what do you think will happen? When you ask those good open-ended questions that require more than a one-word answer, these children are going to learn. And the teacher said today, her go-to question is, how do you know that? So even if that's a square, it's. And so that is the go-to question. Another, I think it doesn't see another go-to. I can't think of a good question. Tell me more. Tell me about it. I worked with a child care center. I was coach for them, or I was coaching the teachers, and I was trying to ask questions. When I was done coaching, I was looking a couple of years. They made a plan for me that said, "Tell me more." But, so you want children to think, you wanna, starting with remembering, it's important that children can count to 10, they can count to 20. They know the ABCs, they know that's red, blue, square, triangle, they don't know all that. You want to make it more complex, you want the learning to be more efficient. Don't be afraid of that. And if you ask the wrong question, I know I do it. I may ask you all a question that I think is a brilliant question. And if you're all just sitting there, could be because you just want to go home, could be you're tired, could be your other things on your mind, or could be I asked the wrong question. We want what we have, we want you to have. And, a couple weeks ago when we talked about conflict and you think about the overall, to me, the ultimate goal is the discipline, guidance. Is that children learn self-discipline. They don't have that. About fifth grade. Well, then fifth grade, they start to go down. Like, that was like junior high and the reaching through the meeting. Where are you going? Oh, I've heard some really good things about that. I've never been this. So, so Diana's teacher, oh, she said you were there then. Yeah, so I don't know, do you have any thought, do you recall that day, like how things were, like what your perspective was on that day?
Yeah, I feel like, so prior to that, he was kind of already, that it was stressed, they always like score them low on that part. But I feel like they were doing good. She like put up, a song for them to like, guess what it was. And then it ended up being around food and they're saying, oh, they garbage, they have claws, they like certain stuff like that. So I feel like she was doing good.
Yeah.
That,
So she might have scored well, so the class tool, and when you said she was nervous, she didn't do well, let me just share this with you. The class tool is divided into 3 domains: emotional supports, organizational supports, and instruction. Emotional supports, I think you can kind of figure out what that means. Building relationships with children, laughing and talking, positive tones. Organizational supports are really working with passion. So children are not waiting, they always have something to do. Behavior is a part of that, behavioral expectations. And then the instructional supports is what Diane is talking about. Those are that's where the real learning is happening. Nationwide, and that's all in my slides, so, but just telling you about it. Head Start programs, and I think the data is from 2020, but only before COVID. Teachers pretty good with emotional supports. Teachers are pretty good with organizational supports on a 1 to 7 scale. She got a 7. She got 7s, like when they were average. Instructional supports nationwide, teachers on the 1 to 7 scale typically get less than 3, which is kind of shocking. Yeah. I was talking with Diana and the teacher today. So the class, they score 4 20-minute cycles. So that cycle that you were just talking about, she probably scored them. If you're transitioning kids, generally speaking, it's a fact, but if it's a large group time, just telling you, you're probably gonna get a low score. Why do you think I'm saying? If you figure 10, 20 kids you're doing, why do you think they'll get a low score?
now they're doing something different. Wow, basically doing something different. So it's like, you're telling them to go sit down, but some of them are like grabbing toys, some of them are like running, yeah.
Right, and it's a lot of you talking, and let's face it, when you have 10 kids, 20 kids, and you're reading, whatever you're doing, chances are every single child is not gonna be paying attention. Every single. I have had teachers, not even like toddlers, who are about to be observed in the class. Oh, we're planning our large group time, and I'm like, I just don't even do one because your scores are going to tank. Because what the observer is going to look at, children not paying attention. And maybe the teacher asking some yes or no questions. And now you can still ask yes or no questions that you want to ask. Yes. So you're probably thinking of that one cycle. And she did really well.
I think she kind of also got nervous, she's like during the summer, it clicks and then it turns off. And that day, like, it was like the whole time. So I feel like they were kind of like,
Yeah.
some of them were like covering their ears,
Mhm.
right? It's like, what is it? What is it? I feel like, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot for them.
Right.
Where some of them were like, that's too loud, or like, you put it down, and I feel like she kind of like froze.
Well, it's, I mean, no one, it's nerve wracking. I mean, when I look through, listen. And what the class tool looks at too, there's a dimension called negative climate, and then there's a dimension called behavior management. It's not necessarily, it is looking at do the children know what to do? Do they know expectations? It does look at that. If there are conflicts with children, it's not going to give you a low score. Quite over control. It's looking at how you respond. Yeah, you talked about it so much from your point. It's looking at how you respond. Are you calm? Are you trying to have conversation with the kids in a respectful way? So, and I have two friends who have preschool teachers. I had lunch with them a month ago. And they were anticipating their observations. They hate it. Kathleen is a very good teacher. She got a 4 in instructional supports, which I told her scores were excellent. I've seen a lot of scores.
I was gonna say that, the after they all done 3s or lower.
So she got 4.
Yeah, but that, it's like her, like. That makes sense, like.
Yeah, that's what it was like. That's so low. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I do it too, but I don't think it's, yes, I do. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. But her scores were very. But again, she might have scored really high in one domain or one cycle. And then if they were transitioning, and she does a good job of that too. I've seen her for a couple of, but if the kids were all over the place and they don't know what to do. Like Julia, one thing you and I talked about today, this is in the class tool. It's called, it's under organizational supports, and it's an advanced organizing. You told the kids what they were going to do, the goal, the purpose. And smile, you should smile. Yeah, I was waiting for some reaction. She was sitting there with that look on her face. Now I feel
Always referring to me. So I'm actually building a close relationship with her, like we're all, like, she keeps me in the loop of what's gonna happen throughout the week and what they're gonna do. And, so we were talking about it today because she was like, that she was gonna get observed.
Yeah.
There's a window.
Yeah, right. I
And
don't
she
know
was
what
like, she was basically saying how she was nervous and I could start feeling her, like,
Yeah.
just the energy. And then she's like, that she just wants to make sure she keeps asking high order thinking
Yeah,
questions.
exactly.
And then I was like, I don't know if I would want to be here while you're getting observed, just because like I don't want to mess anything up.
Well,
So
okay.
yeah, because it's like everyone in the classroom gets observed, not only.
So that's what I was just gonna say.
Mm.
Any adult in the classroom gets
Oh.
observed.
Yeah, so like the student teacher,
Yeah.
the teacher,
Everybody
and
gets observed.
even me,
Yes.
if I'm in there,
Oh.
Yes.
So the whole entire day today, I'm like, okay, I told her, I'm like, in your mind, like, you just observe me when I'm also talking with the children, just to make sure that I am asking higher questions, because I was like, what if I'm there the day that you're getting observed? I was
Well, yeah.
So she was just like helping me also, but like she's trying to like check herself and making sure, and all 3 of us, the teacher assistant and the teacher and me, were just like making sure. Oh, well, how did that make you feel? And
So here's the whole thing too, with the class, you want to answer all those questions. You want to, talk about what the children want to talk about. You want it to be genuine. You don't want to just be like, how did it make you feel? Tell me more about it. What about that? You don't want to do that. You want it to be that flow, that genuine. And the other thing I remember reading, this is a big one under instructional report on Kathleen's. You should also, and again, if you don't know what to ask, this is a good go-to. You should also do what is called self and parallel talk. So, oh, you put all the pink petals around the flower and now you're putting the purple ones on. Or, you know, that kind of, or even describing what you're doing, like I'll go back to Julia's today. See, I'm taking the rhythm sticks and I'm, you know, hitting them over my head, I'm making a beat, now I'm doing, so Julia, that's self-talk. But if you don't know what question to ask kids, like even like, you know, if you feel compelled, we all do it, and it's a good thing. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. Instead of saying that, you know, just say, oh, you use a lot of blue paint on. Pause. See if a kid, you know, sometimes you just have to make a statement. Pause. And see if the child says. So, yeah, but you're right, as you were just saying that everybody in the room is observed.
That's like today, I was sure I was with the children, sure that like, because I also don't want her to get a low score, especially
Right.
because I'm just learning.
I know.
So,
Not really fair.
yeah.
But
So-
it's not really fair. But it depends, how much are they gonna want you? How much are they, you know, what, I have a teacher, I've coached her twice, she's at the Head Start program. Honestly, she's one of the best teachers I've ever seen. And she goes all around her classroom, everywhere, 20 minutes. And the conversation she has in every area of her room, they're amazing, amazing. I've coached her twice now because her scores are not good. She has an aide in the room. Her grade's not bad. She just doesn't say much. It's not bad. So if the observer is, you know, flipping back and forth, and the aide sitting at the table with some kids and not saying it, or saying, oh, good job, or whatever, the scores are gonna be low. It's tricky. So, yeah. But, you know, what I like, I'll just tell you this, what I like about the class tool, I'm not saying I love the tool, all of it, how it is. It took me even a while to learn how it works, is it focuses on teacher-child interaction. And my big takeaway is that's the most important thing. And I said it today with Diane's teacher. The environment's important, the curriculum's important, the materials are important. You are the most important. You are the most. How you talk with the children and your relationship with them, the questions you ask. And if you think about, which is a lot of pressure, but it's true, everything they're doing all day is a learning. Even if they're washing their hands for lunch, it's a learn, you know, lining up for a playground. Everything is a learning experience. And so, but yeah, so the class tool is tough. Class tool is tough. And it's, and like when you're being observed for 20-minute cycles, you're on, you know, your anxiety, and then it's done and you're, you know, yeah. And hopefully the teachers, when they get their scores, their coaches will be very strength-based with them and really talk about what they do well and how they can keep going. But anyway, so that's, so I just shared that resource with you. I have a couple of slides here too about open-ended questions. And again, just how do you know that? Tell me more. That, you know, keep those in your back pocket. So, all right, so I'm looking at, I think it's my last or second to last slide. If you can help me, if we haven't done it already, just try to schedule a meeting with your CT, it'd be 10 or 15 minutes, virtual. And we could have our meeting right after that. I mean, I had one today, we met for 5 extra minutes, you know, so it's free. So that can also be your final check-in meeting. Otherwise, you can sign up. I think I have a calendar for Monday, or we can do it another day. Just ask me, tell me what works for you next week. God bless you. Let me know what works for you next week. This week, I'm limited. I have a little bit of time tomorrow and Wednesday. But we can do it next week too. Make sure all your clinical hours are entered and approved. So some of you, I won't make any eye contact with anybody right now. Make sure your CT approves your hours. And then make sure your CT, I'll send an email out, make sure your CT does that final pre-CPAS evaluation, and I will do it. I will do my best. Once I'm done with it, I'll email you and I'll say, hey, yours is done, so you can look at it. And then you go into the clinical student acknowledgement in Watermark, go in there and you click the check the box. The last thing in Watermark is the educator disposition assessment. If you can do that. And I have on here on the slide, I'll give you till Sunday. Everything's due this Friday, but I'll give you till Sunday. And I did just change FYI for the final reflection. I did change it to this Sunday. Honestly, you just did a Google form.
Mm.
You can cut and paste from that. Copy and paste. Put it in your final. And last but not least, well, there's more food, so you can stick around and eat. Last but not least, if you have not done the course evaluation, or what is it called? Structure evaluation, course evaluation. Well, if you could please do that now, I'll give you time for that. Otherwise, I'm done. But thank you all. This was great. You're a great group. I loved our reflections together. I really did. I loved all the reflecting. From my perspective, it looked like each and every one of you have had a good clinical experience and work experience this semester, and you learned a lot. And I agree. So it's a great first step, even if you're working somewhere. You know, it's good to be in a different and have different perspectives. And from my conversations with each of you after your observations, and even in here, I think you're really just thinking about who you want to be. You know, what's right for you, and that's, you know, that's what it's all. Listen, we're not going to get rich in this field, especially as we reach out to education. So they want to get, you know, a lot of fulfillment on it. I miss working with kids. That's why when I make a clinical, sometimes it's really hard not to talk to them. It's really hard. You know, I talked to them a little bit. Today, a lot of people were telling me that what they were going to be dentists.
Yeah, but they were asking for you.
Do they think that was a dentist?
No, I told her that you were gonna come there. Why did you have?
Right. They always get called out of that. They always get, yeah.
Yeah.
But a few of the kids, you know, they want to be dentists when they grow up. I'm like, wow, I never heard that before. And then they know that we want to be firefighters.
And they just like, maybe like, what's our last week? The week before. Yeah, some of them came up.
Yeah.
So that's what they extended it to this week and. And they were just so excited to come over them, and so we wanted to be a firefighter, and they're like, I changed my mind, I want to get police officer. It's so funny to hear.
So, you know, I appreciate that I do get to go into these schools and programs to see people, to see some children. But I'm happy I'm in child education, and I feel very privileged. So I am working with all these teachers and future teachers who are all going to go out there and teach, and you know, tens of hundreds, maybe thousands of kids over the year. So years. So that's a lot more than I did running a child. So I know. There's more food. So yeah, if you do that course evaluation now, I really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me with the group or individually, I am here. There's a lot of food here, so I can give you more, and everybody better take something home. Everybody better take something. And thank you all. I think we got a great variety of food. This is awesome. All right. I'm not leaving. And I hope everybody, your summer, stop right here.